Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort in commentary, Ashton. And this is our NXT review. Yes, it is Wednesday Night Delight, Lucha Underground, and now NXT. And we know that NXT had the most formidable competition. It was the LU Season 2 premiere. Obviously, it wasn't going to measure up in that regard because that was epic. But as a standalone episode of NXT within the confines of its own universe, I say it damn fine. We've got some returns, some controversy, other performers keep building momentum, some hype for the future. I mean, this packed a punch tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Wednesday night is the place to be if you're a wrestling fan. Ashton, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, like, to me, it's gotten to the point now that, like, if we can compare wrestling companies to really good cartoons, Lucha Underground is like Rick and Morty, NXT is like South Park, and the main roster WWE is like Family Guy.
Yeah.
Like, Lucha Underground just hits it on every single level. They are amazing. Everything means something, and they're just like, it's the culmination of everything of that genre building up to this. NXT is really, really good, and they are self-aware, and they have continuity, and they're good at subtlety, and they just kind of get a lot of things right. And the biggest complaint is sometimes they simplify things too much, and sometimes they're kind of repetitive. But WWE is like, yeah, sure, it's entertaining sometimes, but, you know, if there's something better on, why would you want to watch it?
Exactly. You know? And again, I feel like almost to compare the two, this being NXT and Lucha Underground being the primary discussion, is almost unfair because they really do have two completely different aesthetics, two completely different approaches. That said, if you are looking at this episode of NXT by itself, not even factoring in Lucha Underground, which I know is really hard to do because that's all that's on anybody's mind and with good reason, this was a very fine episode. I really thought they accomplished a lot. I'm curious about where a lot of things are going to go. And, I mean, I'm telling you, NXT is still setting its own corner of the world on fire, baby. It's still going strong. So I'm excited to talk about this episode with you tonight.
Yeah. This was a really, really fun episode. And I'm proud to say that even though Lucha Underground was miles ahead of everything that we watch ever other than just Lucha Underground, NXT wasn't too much of a letdown tonight. It was still very entertaining. I enjoyed myself. I was smiling throughout the show. So you know what? Props to NXT for being able to follow Lucha Underground, because that's a freaking difficult task to pull off.
Damn right it is. With that said, guys, let's not waste any more time. Our first segment, Heat of the Night. I have got 0 heats of the night tonight, not any nitpicks. Honestly, NXT was the perfect kind of decompressor after the LU Season 2 premiere. And again, as we've already said, it did damn fine. I've got
that's what it is. Yeah, it's a decompressor. Because, like you watch Rick and Morty, and there are some, like, really heavy themes in that show. And it's like, oh, well, now Morty is, going to give himself up to the galactic police or whatever, and we're never going to see him again. This is super sad and heavy and hits hard. And then you turn South Park on, and there's a talking turd. Like, yeah, it's a decompressor. That's what it is. I'm telling you, that analogy frickin' works.
Yeah, man. So I've got 0 heats tonight. What about you?
No, I don't have any heats of the night. I appreciate the way that NXT went about making things happen tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. With that said, let us roll right on to our NXT review. And brother, how do we open this baby up?
We opened up with a match, actually, and it was the match of the night, and I would even go as far as to say this was on par with the 3 matches that we saw in Lucha Underground tonight. This and our main event were both, as far as in-ring quality goes, on the same level as the Lucha Underground matches we saw tonight. But we start things out with a tag team match. American Alpha Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, taking on the team of Blake and Murphy. We lovingly know them as Blurfy, or if you include Alexa in that team, Blurfexa. And commentary still hasn't decided on a team, although they used to call them Team Thick, and the internet knows them lovingly as the Dubstep Cowboys. But still, this match was awesome. It was phenomenal. I mean, the psychology of this match was better than anything we saw in Lucha Underground tonight, even though the sort of pacing and work rate weren't quite on the same level. It made up for it in the psychology department.
What I love about now American Alpha, which for the record, guys, yes, it is already starting to grow on me as I thought it would. I just really become so observant when they're in the ring. I find when other matches are in progress, like, yeah, I'll talk to you, or I'll just, be talkative, or, my mind will wander. When those guys are in the ring, I'm at attention. Like, it's just me and their match, and everything else just closes off to me. And, that's how they suck me in, because this is my shit right here, and you know that. And watching Chad Gable work over a body part like he worked over the arms of both Murphy and Blake was just amazing. He takes something that is so rudimentary in any wrestling match, and some would even say the most boring part of a wrestling match, because you're always waiting for it to hit second gear, and he injects a vitality and a character just into it that's just incredible. I fucking love these guys, as if anybody couldn't tell. I have gone on record and I have said they are my favorite thing in all of the WWE right now, because they just bring me back to that time when I first fell in love with pro wrestling. Yeah. And just seeing Chad Gable be Chad Gable and put in the work
and just incredible. Throw 11 different shades of arm drag.
I didn't even know that many variations existed, and Chad Gable just gave me the best education I have probably ever gotten ever. And can I just say, too, like I pointed out to you in conversation, they are probably one of the most legitimate tag teams on the WWE scene right now, because the moment Chad Gable gets the hot tag into Jordan, done. Done. Yep. They won this match, if you're counting by the hot tag. They won this match in seconds.
Yep.
Because Jordan handed both of them their asses.
Yes,
and
he did.
I fucking loved it.
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy because you and I both absolutely love Jordan and Gable, and yet I'm conflicted because I don't even know if they were my favorite team in this match. I love Blake and Murphy that much.
Blake and Murphy are phenomenal, and I was even getting ready to say, I've got to slow myself down because Jordan and Gable all day for me. They leave everybody else in the dust. They're my guys. I want them to be NXT Tag Team Champions. I want us to have a live reactions where I can lose my goddamn shit over these guys being champions. But let's not lose sight of the fact that Blake and Murphy are still two phenomenal heels, because when they saw that this match was not going their way, Buddy Murphy was looking at Chad Gable and was thinking, well, I could get arm dragged for 15 more minutes, or I can take matters into my own hands. And he feigns a knee injury because he came off a leapfrog, and he wants to make it seem like he didn't stick the landing. And so he's really selling it. You and I obviously know, and I'm sure a lot of people knew, he's milking it, he's working us. But still, it was a phenomenal piece of heel work, because Chad Gable is just thinking well, come on, are we going to have the match or not? And Buddy Murphy, trying to be coy, gets his hand, he motions to Wesley Blake. Now, Gable's able to stop Blake at the pass, but then Murphy gets a phenomenal chop block that I think is made all the better by Gable's selling.
Yeah.
And they start picking the leg apart to the point where they've got him in a tree of woe. Blake gets attacked, and he's hammering the fist. I think even Alexa Bliss drop kicked the knee at one point.
Well, yeah, Murphy lifted her up and used her as a battering ram.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, again.
And then, of course, Tom Phillips even said, Blake or Buddy Murphy just used Alexa Bliss. And then Corey Graves cuts in. He's like, Alexa Bliss doesn't get used. She's a part of the team. Yeah. And it's just well, that sounds exactly like something I said no more than a couple months ago.
Yeah, Corey Graves, Ashton fan confirmed, which probably makes your goddamn life right now. So,
The fandom is mutual, Corey.
If you're listening, Corey, yes, we all love you here at TWitWoW,
but
yeah,
mostly me.
But mostly Ashton, yes. I won't even. But speaking of love, I was gonna say, like, that's just the thing with Jordan and Gable, and I'm saying this with the straightest of faces. Like, it really is that Mundo level of I fucking love these guys. Give me everything you got to offer. I am all about these guys, but I don't want to.
This is the first time I've heard you reference them in the same breath as Mundo, so I know that this is getting serious now.
I mean, it's been serious for a long while, but I think I might as well make it explicit. Like, that's how into these guys I am, because, again, they're throwbacks to the best time of my life as a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
I fucking love technical wrestling, and these guys bring it in spades, and that's why I even wanted to say that, because I don't want to throw Blake and Murphy under the bus, because they are still gems. That has not changed. These guys are amazing heels. They know how to work a tag team match, much like the mechanics. I mean, you were talking about with I think it was your Raw request. I know it was a conversation on our latest Raw TWitWoW, how we need a tag team revolution like we had with the Divas one, except, actually successful right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And all these teams you can bring up. I mean, tag team wrestling is where it's at right now in NXT. Like, if you're a fan of that stuff, if you're like, oh, I love this psychology of it, this and that, watch NXT, because Blake and Murphy are just masters at it. And I think it's a crying shame. Actually, it's a downright travesty that they do not get the appreciation they deserve. And I'm not just talking about those little forums and those subspaces. I'm even talking about on forums like AV Club and other places that cover NXT regularly. They just seem to pass by Blake and Murphy. And despite my overwhelming love for American Alpha, I'm not going to do it, because these guys are phenomenal heels and they did great work here. And it made the finish all that more exciting, because when Gable finally got that hot tag, Jordan lit the place on fire, suplexing them out of their damn boots. Even the double team finisher looked more impactful. Jordan had that much energy. I loved it, dude. These guys are on a fast track to the tag titles, but you're only as good as the people you work with, and no doubt Blake and Murphy are two of the best when it comes to the tag team division.
Yeah, to me, like, there are so many tag teams that are television ready in NXT. They've got a real embarrassment of riches down there, and I kind of have the same feeling now with tag teams that I did last year, around like March, May-ish, where I had this like everlasting feeling of they have an embarrassment of riches in the women's division, and when they get called up, NXT is going to miss what they had, and I feel the same thing now, but with the tag division.
Exactly, dude. They're cooking on all cylinders right now, the tag division. And that sentence sounds so right, because in all of WWE, whether main roster, NXT, whatever, I never thought, especially when you and I started doing your coverage of all of it in what is known as TWitWoW, I never thought we'd see tag team wrestling get this kind of shine again. I mean, I made my peace with it. I'm like, tag teams, they're going to be nice. Maybe even once in a while you get a worthwhile contender, but they're never going to have a period like this. And the idea that we're living it, like, I'm on cloud 9 right now, dude. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. This match was great from a psychology standpoint. Just the story that they told in this match was wonderful. The whole idea that Gable, and I don't know if you even noticed this, but I'm such a massive Buddy Murphy mark that I automatically pick up on these things. Murphy was holding his own against both Jordan and Gable, but as soon as he tagged Blake in, Gable took control.
Yeah, that could be cause for a split down the line, actually. I'm glad you picked that up.
Yeah, dude, like that was when Gable started throwing his dozens of arm drags. And I love, too, that, like, Gable's gimmick is arm drags and Jordan's gimmick is suplexes.
And yet I haven't tired of it, because it's just, he brought out so many variations of arm drags tonight. I'm like, my God. And he really knows. The funny thing about pro wrestling, and I think, the guys like Max Landis have said it, and other people have certainly said it before, pro wrestling to me is a kind of performance art. And I think Gable really gets it, because the guy's a freaking showman with every move that he does. Like, even with that little, I don't want to call it a Hurricane Rana, but when he was standing on the shoulders of, I believe, Blake, and he does, like, the head scissors, like, he's just doing the pose while he's on the shoulders, and then he does the head scissors. Like, he knows he's a performer, he gets it, and he infuses that personality in his moveset, and those are the guys.
Freaking figure skater.
like figures, I don't even use this term demeaningly because I know it may come off that way, to the ear, but he is like that circus performer. He understands like all of this is our show, and I've got to use every part of the environment to pop the crowd. Yeah. And those are the guys that always go the farthest. What Gable doesn't have, because he is like, at least to me, like a smaller looking guy on TV. He more than makes up
5'8".
Yeah, he more than makes up for, though, in his personality, both in and out of the ring. He's going to go far. Like, in the main roster, I could see him, since Kalisto's already holding that belt, I could see him as a U.S. champion. In fact, seems quite fitting, giving his Olympian credentials.
Yeah, dude, I think that within the next, I don't want to say 5, within the next 7 years, we're going to see Jason Jordan as a world champ, and Chad Gable is probably going to hold every title under the sun, except for maybe the world championship.
And you know what? Like, I'm inclined to agree. And only
but
those
Gable
guys
is going to be that next Jericho type guy where he just gets, like, he might even break Jericho's record for most IC title reigns. He's going to get dozens of IC and US title reigns, and he'll probably hold the tag titles with Jordan, but then also with a few other people maybe. Like, he's just going to be the man, but he's never going to get to the mountaintop, I don't think. Then Jordan's going to get there without it even a problem.
Right. We'll see, man. We'll see, but all I know is right now, the only mountain I care about them climbing are those NXT Tag Team Championships, baby. Let's get it. Let's get it.
You know it. All right. Well, I mean, we could probably just sit here and talk about how awesome Jordan and Gable are for an hour.
God, can we?
We are capable, but we probably shouldn't.
Fine.
I'm sorry, but we need to move on. So up next, we had a highlight of Sami Zayn's appearance at the Royal Rumble, and then an Alex Reyes interview, or as Dana Brooke would call him, Adam, with Emma and Dana Brooke.
I'm sorry. I hope this isn't me becoming a Dana Brooke fan, but I actually enjoyed her here again. I think she's
really good comedy relief, but in our experience, that's definitely what she's best at.
Yeah. And that's just it, Ash. I don't think it's committing hyperbole to her capabilities. You said it exactly right. It's comedic relief. Because when she's like, Adam, it's Alex. You don't matter. And I'm just like, she's right. Matter. Shut the hell up.
She is at that point now where she has that direct line to your funny bone, doesn't she?
Exactly. God, I'm really a horrible person. But regardless,
she's like the perfect amount of douchebag for you.
I know, right? But this is not Psychoanalysis 101. This is TWitWoW, damn it! So, we realize it's formally announced Emma is going to be facing Carmella next week. So they're just stacking the deck for Carmella. I like that they're not rushing into her NXT match with Bayley. I like that they really want to build up Carmella first to really let the audience know, like, hey, don't sleep on her. She can do this. And I think Emma is as legit as they come as far as the heels go. So the idea that they're putting Carmella in the ring with her already, I think says a lot, to get Carmella ready for this. And yeah, pretty much Emma says, that they're going to embarrass Carmella, that, it's a joke that she's in the position that she's in and that they still run the place. And I don't think they're done their business with Asuka either. And yeah, they just have the confidence that they always exude. So what did you think of this?
Yeah, dude, Emma has made me such a fan.
Yeah, man. She's so
good. Like, and you know what, though? I will say, I think that we have reason to call them out for a mistake here, because they went so far out of their way to discredit Carmella here that if Emma does beat her next week, what big deal is it?
That's true. And like we've talked about on TWitWoW, promo cutting 101.
Yeah.
You've got to at least give the babyface even a smidgen of due, a smidgen of respect, just so you don't look like a joke if you do end up beating that babyface, because you still want to look good. It's not just about, oh, I'm doing this service for Carmella. No, do it for you. That's the kind of relationship that pro wrestling rivalries, are outside of the kayfabe context. So I do agree with you. I think it was a bit heavy-handed, the talking down to Carmella and the criticism. They could have built her up a little bit.
Yeah, because it seems like the entire promo is just about how Carmella's not that good. She's just lucky.
Exactly. And I could understand if you want to say, like, offhandedly, oh, well, you just got lucky. But you did win, and now I'm just going to show that I'm more worthy of that opportunity than you are. Just something that would just acknowledge, like, yeah, maybe you got lucky, but you did win, so, clearly you have something, but I'm just going to show that I'm better. For as good as you are, I'm that much better. Something like that. And I just felt like, yeah, they just really kind of, smushed her into the dirt there and then just kind of rubbed the toe of their boot on it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And I think, it's always tough to criticize stuff like this because I do get the feeling that that's the angle that NXT wants to go with this. Kind of the idea that, Carmella doesn't really deserve the spot that she's in and that she kind of lucked into it. But now she did what she did last week and pinned Alexa Bliss. Now she has to kind of prove herself. Like it's almost like that situation where she got put in a situation that she's in over her head, but now she needs to find a way to deal with it. It's a sink or swim situation. She's either going to completely fail and prove to the world that she isn't ready for this spot yet, or she's going to find a way to make things happen and she's going to succeed and she's going to prove everyone wrong. And that's the story that they're going for here. And her beating Emma next week, which I'm assuming is going to happen logically, given that she's the number one contender, is going to be just that next step in her proving the naysayers wrong and proving that she didn't just kind of luck into this spot and that she does deserve to be here. So I think in this case, it's almost like Emma is the voice of the skeptic in the audience.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent analysis of the situation. Just to add on very quickly to what you said, since that is the angle they're going for, I hope they kind of continue with what they've already laid the foundation for it being, because in that tag match with Bayley, once she got the hot tag in that match, she made quick work of the opposition in Alexa Bliss and Emma, made Alexa Bliss tap out. Now I'm hoping next week she makes Emma tap out. Really build up Carmella's submission hold. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Because you want to talk about winning decisively and dominantly, get those submission wins. I would have Emma tap out, because here's the thing, if you're going to criticize Carmella that much and still save face, I think you need a submission victory just to really punctuate it, like, yeah, she couldn't take what I was bringing to the table to the point where she tapped out and really makes a statement. So I'm hoping they take this time to really build up Carmella's finisher and just show Bayley, like, hey, that could be you in that hold, and are you going to have the resolve to not tap out, and just make that the question, kind of turn the tables a little bit. Maybe it's not Carmella that's the joke, maybe the real question is, how tough are you, Bayley, as NXT Women's Champion? So I'm kind of hoping that's the route they go.
Yeah, I agree. That's a perfect way to end talking about this segment. But up next, we had a second match of the night. And, I find it funny that we were just talking about Bayley because she's actually somewhat relevant to this, because we get Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax. And this is pretty much what you would expect it to be. Liv got a few drop kicks in, but Nia Jax pretty much destroyed her. But the one thing that I want to point out that I don't know if it was intentional or if they were actually unintentional rather, or if they were actually kind of subtly trying to build this up. Liv Morgan went for a guillotine on Nia Jax.
Yes, I'm glad you said something, Ashton, because I noticed that as well. I thought that was peculiar because, again, we know that Nia Jax in London fell to a guillotine that was applied relentlessly, mind you, by Bayley. So
now it's one of two or three things, I think. Option one, this is going to be a trend now where all the girls that get put up against Nia try to beat her with, if not just some kind of submission, specifically a guillotine. And this is going to be like a potential downfall. Maybe like Nia Jax gets beat by Blue Pants or somebody with a less credibility because of a guillotine, and she needs to figure out how to beat it. Or they could just kind of do it in one fell swoop, and because all these girls are trying to use the guillotine on her, she uses that as experience and learns how to counter it before attempting to go after Bayley again.
And I feel like that process, that last option, has already started. Yeah. Because she was able to fight off Liv Morgan's guillotine attempt, and that, to me, does great things for Nia Jax. Because here's the thing, and I think they're doing something interesting with Nia Jax here, because we've had monsters and behemoths in WWE in the past. I don't even need to go over the list of names. You guys know who I would be talking about off the top of your heads. I like the idea that Nia Jax isn't just another monster-esque character. She's one that grows and adapts with her environment, with every experience. She's got, I hate to say that she's sentient, because of course she is, but you get what I mean when I say that.
Right, like the monster is sentient, yeah.
Exactly. You know, it's like, okay, I lost this, let me go back and learn from it, and that makes her more dangerous than any power move in her repertoire. Because the idea that she can learn and I don't even say that like condescendingly, but yeah, the idea that you could go back from your mistakes and come back better with everything you're already packing, sweet mother of God, nobody has a chance of surviving. Because there's going to come a point where even she'll have Bayley all figured out. And, you know, that's what I think it's kind of telling me, just that one counter. Okay, so you do have the ability to grow. That should be concerning to Bayley for a rematch, because you won't be the same Nia Jax. So I really like that, dude. Yeah,
it's pretty. Yeah, I like the whole thing. So, unless you have anything else to add, we will move on.
No, let's move on, dude.
Okay, well, sort of a continuous stream of thought here. We go from Emma and Dana Brooke talking about Carmella, and of course Carmella's up against Bayley. And then we talk about Bayley's opponent from NXT TakeOver London, Nia Jax. And now we're back to Carmella, because now we get Carmella cutting a promo on Emma, and she says that she's going to beat her by herself. And then Enzo and Cass are kind of, you know, pacing in the background. And when Carmella has said her piece, Cass chimes in, cuts a promo on Dawson and Dash. Dawson and Wilder. That's their last names. And then Enzo, of course, also cuts his half of the promo. And these guys are great. I mean, angry Enzo and Cass is the greatest thing that I never knew I wanted.
Dude, especially Enzo. Can I just say that for a second? Because
God, the fire in Enzo.
He spit fire tonight, dude. Holy shit. I mean, first of all, I love, too, because I don't know if you picked up on this. Well, you probably did. But I love how they're all kind of, like, picking up on each other. And to kind of clarify what I mean by that, Carmella ends her promo by saying the Evolution is a freaking joke. And then Cass says, well, speaking of jokes, so he's building on top of that. Yeah. I love that. I thought that was so good. And then he's making fun of course, of the mechanics' midsections, and, you know, good thing you have that gold to hide it, and that gold is the only thing you have to back up what you bring. And then Enzo comes in, and he's just cheesed off, man. Like, he looks like he wants to go off on somebody right now, talking about how I had to go home for Christmas, and I didn't have a good Christmas, because I didn't have those NXT tag team titles. I was in Jersey, and somebody was pumping my gas, and I was so ready to just get out of the car and do something, because I thought it was you. And, like, you could just see in his face and the way he's delivering his words, like, he is just itching. Yeah. He wants more than anything to climb back in the ring with the mechanics. And can I just say, to NXT, since, you know, the focus is them right now, that is how you make compelling, interesting baby faces. Because you have these guys who London was weeks ago at this point, and they are still ticked off, and they are still hungry to get back in there. And Roman Reigns, 24 hours after he gets screwed out of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, because, you know, they stacked the deck against him, and he made one mistake, strolls into the arena. He's just like, JoJo, that's ridiculous. Tell him I'm waiting in the arena, because selling the upset, it's irrelevant. Yeah. And, you know, like, that's the difference. I'm not asking Roman Reigns to throw a tantrum and destroy everything. But for God's sakes, man, be human. Because we all want things in life. And when we don't attain them, of course we're going to be ticked off and we're going to be upset. And the idea that Enzo is carrying this ball of just anger and upset in him weeks after the fact. He is the most human character. Him and Cass are the most human characters, not just in NXT, but in the whole WWE scheme of things, because that's what it means. So kudos to these guys, because they're two of the best performers right now, and I freaking love them. I just love them. Good job, guys.
Yeah, and Enzo especially kind of seems like he's on the verge of a psychotic break.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it because that's a natural reaction. And this is how you build hype for a rematch too, dude, because honestly, you know I'm all about American Alpha right now, and that's kind of my tunnel vision. But these guys, with the emotion and everything they're putting into it, for the story's sake, I want this rematch. I want Enzo and Cass versus the Mechanics too. And they really have me wanting, I should say, Enzo and Cass to finally win that gold, because I'm worried about what'll happen to Enzo if they don't. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's, between Enzo and Cass and American Alpha, and then maybe even the Vaudevillains, you have to wonder who is going to be the contenders for the Mechanics titles.
Yeah, man. So with that said, is there anything else you want to say about this?
No, let's move on. Let's talk about Baron Corbin. Had a little vignette, but it's the one that we've seen a billion times, so we can just move on.
Yeah.
And then the Vaudevillains had another vignette that's the same as last week, so we can move on from that as well.
Yep.
And then we get our third match of the night, which is actually, I think, going to be a pretty decent talking point for us. Bull Dempsey versus Alex Riley. Alex Riley is back in NXT.
Yeah. Back in NXT, looking pretty angry, pretty whatever. And the match itself, wasn't bad. Here's the thing. Obviously, I've had my pot shots at Riley. I'm not going to apologize for that. I've had fun especially the feud with Kevin Owens. But he's always been an interesting case, because there have been people that see so much in Riley, and whether because of an injury or politics or whatever the case is, he's never really been able to take off and show what I think he can really do.
Yeah.
I appreciated the work here, especially the finish, where he got the spine buster and then he followed it up, I think, with a kind of kick, if I'm not mistaken, to Bull that kind of knocked him out. And, it was good. He looked to be in great shape. He's got an interesting look, this heelish look, got the grunge look in the face a little bit, made easy work of Bull Dempsey. The thing about Alex Riley, though, is, and that's why I prefaced it by saying all the things about his career in general, I don't know if he's still going to be able to take NXT roster. I think is so saturated with talent that is just leagues above Riley. I don't even say that to denigrate him. I'm just saying it as is. You look at the guys that are coming in, they have a higher profile than he does. How is he going to fit into the grander scheme of things? Is he going to get lost in the shuffle? So I'm very curious, Ashton, how they're going to handle Riley going forward. What do you think?
Yeah, you make a good point, because Riley is, here's the thing. Kevin Owens made Alex Riley look like a complete joke, so they did a really good job tonight of reestablishing his credibility, and he needed it more than just about anyone.
Yeah, he really did. I think the way he did it, again, a spine buster on a guy that as big as Bull Dempsey, and then the follow-up and getting that dominant win was great. I think his promo came afterwards, but we'll get to that in a second. I don't want to talk about that right now. So they're doing interesting things. I just don't know if they're going to be able to keep up that momentum when you hear about the guys that are walking through the door, and that's what really perplexes me, because this isn't even me like, oh yeah, Riley, look at you fail. Obviously, I want him to succeed, speaking sincerely as
Well, and
John.
that's the crazy thing too, is that you can look at everyone that is in NXT right now, and Enzo and Cass, to me, the fact that they still haven't been called up is, it's blasphemy as far as I'm concerned. But that being said, you've got to think that they're on the fringe. Like, I feel like they could show up on any given episode of Raw and I would be ecstatic, but I would not be surprised because of just how ready they seem to be in that spot, right?
Dude, to your point, not to scoff at anything that the main roster is doing, because I know we do that enough as is, I'm already more looking forward to post-WrestleMania Raw, probably more than WrestleMania itself right now.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, everything about WrestleMania weekend looks amazing except for WrestleMania, because the day before WrestleMania, we get NXT TakeOver Dallas, and it's already looking incredible.
Yeah, it is. So, yeah, to your point, I completely agree with you, and I'm just wondering, maybe that's when Alex Riley will be able to kind of rise and be able to have that room to breathe.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say, is once Enzo and Cass get called up, who do we have left that can cut a promo the same as well as Alex Riley?
That's true. Yeah, that could be where he carves his space.
Yeah,
because to me,
that is where he separated himself tonight with his promo.
Yeah, I loved his promo, and again, like, this isn't taking shots at him. I enjoyed what he had to say. I like where they're going with him. And I like to, you know what, too, because the thing is, we're talking about where Riley's going to fit and where he's going to do. We're pretty much lending credence to his promo with this conversation, and that's what I love about it, because
we're talking about him.
Yeah, we're talking about it, but we're talking about him in the context of, what's he going to do relative to everybody else that's already there, and he's self-aware about that fact. Because he knows who he is, and he knows who he's in the same brand as, and he uses that as ammunition, and I would say he uses that quite well. So Riley did quality work tonight. I got to give the man credit.
Yeah, he did. As far as this match goes, like you said, Spinebuster was solid, and then I don't know what to call his finisher, because it reminds me of a spinning heel kick, but he didn't hit Bull with his heel. He hit him with his knee. So like spinning knee kick maybe?
Maybe. Yeah, it was certainly different, Yeah. I didn't expect that from him, so.
It was like a hybrid between a Busaiku knee kick and a spinning heel kick.
Right.
So, I don't know what to call it, but it was cool. But to me, really, even if you want to look at the Spinebuster as being impressive, the coolest part of this match was seeing Riley just play a character that isn't cocky heel. Like, he's still a heel, but he's not that cocky, arrogant, like, varsity, cool kid heel that he's always been his entire career. He's doing something different, and I think that he's doing probably some of the best work of his career since maybe FCW even.
Yeah, it's like a dejected Alex Riley, but not even like in a down in the dumps kind of way. It's just like, well, I realize now what the world
angry.
thinks. Yeah. He's just angry and dejected because it's like, well, now I know what the world thinks about me, so now let me show the world exactly what I think about it.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot. So we'll see how far
it's like imagine if you like lost your job and your wife or your girlfriend, depending on whether you're married or not, and then you go home to your mom and she says, "Get the hell out of my house, you loser." Like, how is that going to make you feel? And that's where Alex Riley is right now. Like, he thought that the fans had his back, and then he hears them cheering for Kevin Owens to kill him.
Yeah, as he got powerbombed on the apron. And, I mean, we were certainly guilty. I mean, I certainly was. I'm not going to make
absolutely.
About it.
I mean, here's the thing, though. You would think that seeing somebody in this state would make us regret it, but if anything, we're happier about it because it means that Alex Riley got character progression. So there you go.
Yeah, so for once, me being an asshole actually paid off.
In an indirect way, you are right.
Oh, that's probably the best sentence you've said in a while. All right, we can move on.
But yeah, I liked Riley here. I like the intensity, and I don't know what it is, but he just looks dirty, man. Like, in the face, like, I know he's got kind of like a 5 o'clock shadow going on, but he just looks like he was just like sleeping in a gutter, and then he rolled over and decided to come to Full Sail to wrestle.
Yeah, dude, like, I even made like a small remark about that earlier. I really like that, dude. Like, I called it like a grunge kind of look, but you're right. Like, it's like dirty, like, oh well.
This is gonna sound really weird, but he looks more like a drifter than Elias Samson.
Yeah, I would agree with you. No, because see, to me, and I'm glad you said that because I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but the thing with Elias Samson is he almost looks a little too, I mean, I can't think of a better word, he almost looks a little too clean. And
he's too pretty.
Yeah, there you go. And with Alex Riley,
like if you compare, if you would stand Alex Riley in his current state next to Elias Samson, you would think Elias Samson was a freaking male model.
Yeah, I look at Alex Riley and just like in the face alone in his eyes and everything and how disheveled he looks and everything, I'm like, that is the most fit homeless person I think I've ever seen in my life.
Like Riley is that guy that goes out on the corner and panhandles, and in the meantime, Elias Samson is the guy that goes to the corner, plays a few basic chords on his guitar, and then gets picked up by a modeling agency.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Like that just based on like the way Alex Riley's acting and his look right now, like that's kind of just by comparison, that's how disheveled and like you said, homeless he looks.
Right.
So, yeah, he's definitely got a good thing going, and this is the first time I've probably ever said this, or at least since FCW when I was a fan of his, but I want to see more of Alex Riley.
And you know what? This will be the first time I've ever said this ever. I agree with you. So there you go.
It's not the first time you've ever said that. It's just the first time you've ever
said
this context.
Yes, in this context, I agree with you. So,
All right, so up next, speaking of the devil and he shall appear, we have Elias Samson playing his guitar backstage. He is in action next, and then we get the Alex Riley promo that we were referring to, and this was the best NXT promo that we've gotten in a while, or at least I should say the best non-Enzo and Cass NXT promo that we've gotten in a really long time.
You can feel the anger in his words, and that's what I really liked about this.
And it's so great, too, because it almost feels like he is scolding the NXT universe, too. Like, the tone of his voice, it sounds like a disappointed dad. Like, you know, I see all this stuff about Sami Zayn. Like, I saw 3 weeks before he even showed up, they had his exact return date announced. And, you know, I know what Apollo Crews had 3 days ago for breakfast. And, you know, where's the Alex Riley information? What do you know about Alex Riley? And I love, too, that he started with, well, why are you surprised to see me? And then he ended with, oh, well, now I guess I know why you're surprised to see me. I love that.
That was a great technique. I agree with you, dude, and I'm glad you picked up on that because I like how he pretty much completes the thought just overall. You know, completes the circle. This was great stuff. If this is the Alex Riley we're getting, just give NXT time to kind of drain out its talent, and he will rise. I really believe that. I think we've got a great heel character here. I like I said, I agree with you in the context of I want to see more of Alex Riley, and this promo, I think, did it far more than the match did. I mean, again, the match was solid, but this was where I really saw the value in Alex Riley for probably the first time because this was great stuff. I love how
crazy, dude. He looks like he's like 45 years old, but he's only 33 or 34. He's not that old at all.
Yeah, he's 33, 34, and he's already put in like 8 years in this business. If you were to ever really pull the trigger on him and do something even somewhat momentous with him so he could say that he had a career, it is now. Like, I don't think you're going to get any better with him than you are right now. And I know it's only been the first time we've seen him, you know, in all this time, but there just seems to be something really good going on here. Yeah. So I really hope we can capitalize on it.
Yeah. What does Titus O'Neil do that he can't?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I really don't even know. So there you go.
All right. So up next, we have our fourth match of the night, Elias Samson versus short, fat Adam Cole, a.k.a. John Skyler.
Why did you have to say Adam Cole? Because now I want him to come to NXT. I've been wanting that, and I'm just wondering when it's going to happen.
Did you notice that John Skyler literally just looks like a short, chubby Adam Cole?
I wonder what Adam himself thinks about that. Do you think he's distressed? I don't know.
I mean, it's funny, too, because Adam Cole is like normal-sized Adam Cole, and we have this guy who is like short, fat Adam Cole, and then I don't know if you remember Lucky Cannon, but I always thought that he looked like a longer, stretched-out version of Adam Cole.
Yeah, that's true. And you were like Adam Cole for 5 seconds, so that makes you like otherworldly Adam Cole. So, I mean, yeah, we've got quite a line here.
Maybe cloning is possible, and it's already happened with Adam Cole.
Mother of God.
I mean, if anyone in the world was going to get cloned, who else would the scientists that created the cloning choose for their first subject?
Exactly, because, I mean, I'm full of myself, and even I'm just like, well, sure as hell isn't going to be me when Adam Cole's in the room. Get out of here.
Of course. So, but let's talk about this match, though. First of all, immediately, 2 observations. One positive, one negative. Positive, Elias Samson showed us a little bit more tonight than we've seen so far, including a gorgeous dropkick.
Yes.
And my second observation, Corey Graves needs to stop talking trash on Elias Samson. Samson is supposed to be a heel. Graves needs to support him.
Yes. In fact, you know what? I'm actually kicking myself that I didn't remember that earlier because I knew I wanted to talk about that. That should have been at least a nitpick of mine because Corey is so good. And I gave him a pass the first time because I understood it that he tried to get an interview or he tried to talk to Elias Samson and Samson snubbed him. So Corey's just been holding a grudge, so it's more of a personal reason for Graves, which is more than JBL's
ever. But we're never going to see that pay off because Corey's retired from in-ring work.
Exactly. So, like, none of it works. Swallow your kayfabe pride and just get back, to supporting the heels. Yeah. My negative observation, and I maybe you'll tell me if I'm taking Elias Samson to the woodshed unnecessarily. To me, I'm not really, I'm like 50-50 on the neckbreaker finish, because to me, all the stuff that he does preceding that neckbreaker, including that kind of jumping knee that he does, looks more impressive to me than the finish.
The jumping knee is
agree.
Great too. I almost grouped that in with the drop kick as like, OMG, this guy's really good kind of moments.
But do you think I'm criticizing him unnecessarily to say that all of his preceding offense looks
I will say, as far as the neckbreaker goes, I do think he needs something else, but for some reason, today's version of the neckbreaker, I think, looked better than the last time we saw it. And I think it's because he started it in almost like a DDT hold, that reverse chin lock kind of thing, and then he swung it into the neckbreaker. I think that looked better than last time that we saw it.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I don't know either of you could like give any credit to Skyler for maybe the sell, or just stat, like maybe it comes off better because he's like a smaller guy.
No, it's literally just the setup. I think that the last time, I don't know if it was last week or not, but the last time we saw this neckbreaker, it was more sudden. It was more like Samson walks up to the guy and then does a spinning neckbreaker. This time it felt more deliberate because he got him in that reverse chin lock, I think it was. Like he was going to give him a DDT almost, and then he swung it into the neckbreaker. But the speed that he swung it into the neckbreaker really stood out, but he still took his time to set up and show people, okay, I have him in this reverse chin lock. I'm going to do my move now. And then he quick snapped into the neckbreaker. So I liked the setup.
It's almost like he reallocated the speed at which he would do each step. Yeah. It's like before, it's like I'm going to do everything in like one fell swoop. But now here it's like, okay, I'll do step one at, say, 25%, and then we just kick it right into 100, like for the actual finish, the actual impact.
And I think it's more just showmanship because he wants the audience to know what's coming. He wants to show them this is what's about to happen, and then he does it. So it's kind of training the audience to recognize, okay, when he gets the guy in that reverse chin lock, he's going for his finisher. Kind of like with Triple H. When Triple H kicks you in the gut and goes to hook your arms, he's going for the pedigree. Or Ambrose, when he gives you that double underhook, he wants to hit you with dirty deeds. Well, now we know when Elias Samson wants to hit his finisher. And I think that helps.
Yeah, I think when you're able to make yourself distinct from the rest of the guys with your setup, that goes such a long way. Because I think that's one of the most important parts of the WWE kind of packaging. You know, even like I think about a guy like Randy Orton, when you know he wants to go for the RKO, when he gets in like that Viper stance, as they'd call it, you know, doing that whole thing. You need that setup, and the idea that they've finally, or maybe they're at least starting to, I shouldn't get ahead of myself.
Yeah, I don't think that they've fully realized it yet, but are making progress.
Yeah, they're making progress. You know, that just gives me a lot of hope for the character. And yeah, I mean, all the positives I've been giving him, you know, in prior bouts and everything, that still stands. I'm just glad to see that the character is still improving, still growing, because that's just the best sign. And again, they're in the place to do it. So great stuff there from Samson.
And I love his theme music still.
Yes, me as well.
Up next, we had a Hype Bros promo. They're facing the Vaudevillains next week, and John, I never thought I'd see the day that I'd be able to say this, but we can all relate to Zack Ryder because he hates Mojo Rawley just as much as the rest of us.
I know. I mean, it's weird, Ashton. You know, part of me is repulsed and just wants to fling myself into a chemical bath, but then the other part's like, no, Ryder, I understand. It just, oh, God, that hurts.
Maybe Zack Ryder's not so bad. I mean, Emma did choose him.
Okay, I'm just going to ignore that and suppress the brain tumor that goes along with it, and I'm just going to barrel straight ahead. Apparently Mojo Rawley, you dick. Apparently Mojo Rawley.
I thought you were going to ignore it. Jesus.
Yeah, well, I mean, I lied, obviously, just like she did when she said that we could make it work.
Wow.
But apparently Mojo Rawley watches Zack Ryder sleep. No. Why isn't this man in jail? I don't understand anything anymore. I don't understand how anything works, but I do know this. The only good thing about this to me, one, again, that we can relate, to Zack Ryder. And the second thing, Vaudevillains, we're not going to have to wait much longer to see what this new heel thing's going to be about, if it is even new at all. And that's really where the intrigue comes in. We're going to see the Vaudevillains. What have they changed up? What's going on? I'm excited to see them again. I mean, I know they've been usurped by American Alpha, but I still love the Vaudevillains, make no mistake. So I'll be excited to see them again next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Up next, we had a Samoa Joe vignette. I'm pretty sure we've seen this a few times. They were just kind of giving a little something to all three members of our main event. We had Sami getting highlighted for being in the Rumble. Corbin had his vignette that we've seen a million times, and now we see a Samoa Joe vignette. And then we also got an announcement. We're getting Finn Balor versus Apollo Crews. Non-title, though, next week.
Yeah, so I mean, next week shaping up quite nicely. You've got Emma versus Carmella, and now Apollo Crews versus Finn Balor, non-title. So, like they're really trying to stack the television cards up as we barrel to our next live special, Takeover Dallas, which from what I've been hearing is already shaping up to be amazing. But we will save those conversations for different times. But for now, though, let's move on. What was next?
Our main event of the evening, Baron Corbin versus Samoa Joe versus Sami Zayn triple threat match to determine the number one contender for the NXT Championship.
I really enjoyed this match. Joe especially really brought the aggression, especially against Sami Zayn. I mean, there were strike combinations he was hitting and everything that I'm just like, man, he is murdering that boy, and then in the spirit of Booker T, just really taking it to Sami Zayn. Zayn had great babyface comebacks, against the two bigger guys. That's what I really think was one of the strengths of the matchup, is that you have Sami Zayn, the only babyface, and in stature, like he's smaller than both the guys, so you're just playing every angle all at once. He would try and get dives and use his momentum to carry him through. And then you have Baron Corbin, who to me is a kind of a quasi baby face, only because he has the most legitimate claim to the title, and yet he still has to fight for contendership anyway. And he's just, bringing his aggression and his fire to everybody. And really, my favorite moment of this match, and then I want to hand it over to you. Maybe you had a favorite moment prior or afterwards. Baron Corbin hitting the end of days on Joe, and then when the pin gets broken up, he just snaps. Yep. I loved watching Corbin snap because, again, like Enzo and Cass earlier, I love the human reactions. Yep. And this is a human reaction. Corbin has been here for what feels like forever. He beat Apollo Crews. He staked his claim for the title. And the two kinds of people that he hates, Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe, two people, the kind of person that he hates, I should say, indie people that have been all over the world and then think they're owed something. And Sami Zayn and Joe, they're ruining this moment for him that he felt like was going to be his. So the idea that he just goes postal on Sami Zayn, which of course backfires on him, which I also like because we're not used to seeing Corbin lose his emotions, and this is why, because then Sami Zayn was able to capitalize and get the haluva kick. I like that though because it just shows that Corbin is fed up, and maybe because of the finish, which we'll get to in a second, and where he factors in, maybe this will even mean some character progression for Corbin. Like we already know he hates indie guys, and now indie guys have come in and squandered his opportunity, to get to that next level. Is he just really going to have this breakdown and just be like, okay, it's not enough to simply hate these guys. I need to do something about it. I need to take these guys out. Yeah. Because he just snapped tonight, dude, and I thought that was very interesting.
That was
so. What was some of your favorite moments of this match?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments of the match for sure. I think that Joe choking Sami out on the outside of the ring was another favorite of mine in this match. But to me, I love that Corbin had the match won, and then Sami broke it up. And then Sami had the match won, and then Joe broke it up. And then it took a double submission for Corbin to finally give up and just beg for mercy at that point. So all three of these guys were protected tremendously well. And I give NXT the credit for being able to have a match like this where I was so certain one of these guys was going to eat the pin or the submission and get sort of relegated back down and have to work their way back up to the title picture. But no, we kept all three of these guys strong, and we finished with a double submission. So Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe technically both won this match, And the controversy was really well done because you have the ref trying to explain to both of them the situation, and then Regal comes out, and the ref and Sami and Joe are all trying to kind of tell their side of the story to Regal. And before the show goes off the air, Regal just says, I have to review the tape. He tells the referee, you're coming with me. And he will have a decision, hopefully for us, and he didn't say this, but I'm assuming by next week.
Yes, so we know that this finish, shrouded in controversy now, Regal has to take it in his own hands. He has to render a decision. Zayn and Joe are just irate about it. You know, especially Joe, I think. He was like, hey, you know, Corbin didn't tap out until I cranked my hold on him. When I was cranking the pressure, that's when he finally gave. Sami's claim being, well, I had the hold first, therefore I have the legitimate claim. And I really like how they played this. And again, you know, to your point, Ashton, despite the fact that Corbin tapped out, he stayed in the sharpshooter itself for a prolonged period of time, and it took a second submission on top of that for him to tap out. So you're absolutely right. They protected all three guys involved. Regal's going to have to render the decision now, and this just makes the NXT Championship, as if it needed it, you know, feel like the most important thing, because you've got three guys that really just all left it in there, vying for it, and now we've got this controversy, and Zayn and Joe are going to be hanging on Regal's every word, because an opportunity at Balor just means that much to them. So I loved how this whole thing was handled.
Yeah, this was really well done. You know, I normally don't try to criticize the in-ring performers, but maybe Sami should avoid doing sharpshooters from now on.
Yeah, maybe. It didn't even look right when I felt like he was going to go for it. Like,
well, yeah, because he crossed the legs in the wrong way. He put the wrong leg on top.
Right.
And then when he kind of cinched it in, it looked like he was, you know, it looked like he was trying to turn it into a knee submission, which it's never really been about. It's always been more of like a midsection submission.
Right.
But yeah. Sammy's a wonderful guy and an amazing wrestler, but you know, the sharpshooter's a little shabby looking.
Yeah, stick to the Koji clutch, bro. Yeah. I think it's the point of the.
And I'm sure that there are other. Yeah, I'm sure there are other submissions that he's incredibly good at, but just not this one in particular.
Yeah, that's all we're saying, Sami. You're still wonderful, though, and Absolutely. That's me saying that. So I mean, you know, that's got to be worth something. So yeah. With that said, is there anything else you want to say about this main event, or can we move on?
Finish her out.
All right, high spots and low shots. I'm going to say my low shot is Baron Corbin, because despite the fact that I agree with everything you just said, Ashton, about all three guys being protected, Corbin isn't even in the conversation because he tapped out. It's just Zayn and Joe in the conversation.
And you know what I love about that, though, too? And I don't even disagree with you, but what I love about it is that it's not even Baron Corbin isn't tough or he doesn't deserve a title shot or anything like that. He was just the unfortunate soul that got caught up in a double submission. Like, I feel like that they could establish that anyone on the roster, even Finn, would have tapped out in that situation. Corbin was just preserving his livelihood, and I think that they did a wonderful job of getting that over tonight.
Yeah, completely agree with you. So with all that established, who is your low shot, Ashton?
I think my low shot for tonight, I like that we're doing this in a different order, too. Don't I usually go first for high spots, low shots?
I feel like I usually go first.
Oh, well, maybe I'm
just regardless.
My low shot is going to be Bull Dempsey, because, you know, they really tried to give this guy credibility, and now he just doesn't have any at all. And he lost to Alex Riley in Riley's first match back after our last memory of Riley getting dominated by Kevin Owens. So, and it's so funny too, because I even said Bull Dempsey's demise would be Kevin Owens showing up, because Kevin Owens would make him obsolete. And, you know, the timing might not have been perfect, but it was close enough. So Bull Dempsey's my low shot.
Hey. For me, you know, certainly it doesn't really matter whether you're bullfed or not. your days are done. I think the best is kind of behind you, so I can just gonna make this real short and sweet. Is Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy in particular. I love the fire they've been spitting lately. Enzo and Cass are just absolutely running things. Their promos have been top notch, and I can't wait for their rematch with the Mechanics. So Enzo and Cass are my high spot.
You say that assuming it's going to happen. I don't even know if that match is ever going to happen.
Well, we'll see, man. I don't think they're going to rest until they get their hands on the Mechanics again. So I am pretty confident it's going to happen. And they did quality mic work tonight, especially Enzo Amore. Good God. That man has really come into his own.
Yeah.
So who's your high spot?
All right. My high spot is going to be American Alpha because, simply put, they are the hottest thing going in NXT today.
Damn right, baby. Damn right! Love it! I'm glad you did, actually. You know what? I'm glad that I wasn't the episode. Oh, American Alpha for John. Oh, well, obviously John did it. Yeah. Swerved all of you. Ashton took it this week. So, good stuff. I'm really glad.
I don't know if the hostility is really necessary.
It's me. It's always necessary. I freaking love you guys, and I love Ashton here to death. But I'm really glad that we celebrated tag teams, both of us, in our high spots this week. So that's really cool. And with that said, can I take us home?
Go for it.
All right, guys. This has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. And Ashton, what question do you have for our subscribers this week?
Oh, you know what? I just want everyone to let us know who, out of the alleged signings, we have Nakamura, Anderson, Gallows, and Austin Aries, you want to see first in an NXT ring.
Yeah, get down in the comment section.
And you know what? Because I know he was signed, I'll also toss in Biff Busick. I would have used Rich Swann, but we already saw him, so he's out.
Damn right we did. Good job there, Swan. But yeah, get that conversation started in the comment section. Be very curious to hear those responses. Be sure to take the conversation over to Pweetoff. That is Pro Wrestling is taking over Facebook. A lot of avid and ravenous NXT fans. They're very excited for all the things to come in NXT, so be a part of that conversation. But if you're not into that, Ashton's created a TWitWoW subreddit. There you will find all of our TWitWoW content, and you have the ability to create threads on all topics related to pro wrestling for all the members of the TWitWoW community subreddit, including Ashton and myself. Don't forget to go to Teespring and buy the Kevin Owens because he's a father, damn it! Because while he may have left NXT, he'll never leave our hearts. And with that said, guys, we will see you again for our Monday Night Raw review. And I don't know many things, but I know one thing for certain. Whatever goes on that Raw on Monday won't be anywhere near as good as what we got tonight, baby! So tune in and peace out.